Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, the live stream and the podcast. How are you doing this morning? Funny times indeed, all over the world and here in Portugal, when Tamer Kattan returns to the stage live, doing his wonderful comedy. We met him on the show, and he's moved away. We'll find out why that is. We'll see if we need to take that personally or not. But let's see what it's like when he goes on stage. This is extraordinary. This is a little preview of how he goes onto the stage. This is what it's like to be a stand-up comedian. Have you got your brown trousers on? Are you ready for an experience of this kind? Let's go. Right, okay, no, I need to press play. This is a POV just behind Tamer as he takes the stage at the Wembley Arena, no less. Right, here we go. Oh, is it working, Mother? I'm not sure if it's streaming very well. Oh, that's superb, Carl. Well done. That was terrible. All right, let's give him a nice big round of applause. And maybe you could explain it for yourself. Tamer, good morning and welcome to the show. How you doing, mate?
Good morning. Good to see you again, Carl. How are you?
I'm very well. A bit embarrassed that didn't work very well, but what was it like
happened.
It happens far too often on here. What was it like to step out on the stage at the Wembley Arena? That was the Wembley Arena, right?
No, that one actually was another wild. That was the Globe Wien in Vienna.
Right.
Wembley was 3 weeks after.
My God.
And Wembley was just, I mean, it was like 12,500 people for the comedy setup, the way they set up the stage for comedy. And it was, it was amazing, especially for me because English comedy has always been such a big influence on me. So it was really cool to go there and perform in front of such a huge audience. It was crazy.
Amazing. So it sounds like you're really busy.
I'm trying, Carl. It's a funny thing. It's I feel like it's almost like telling a hamster in a wheel, you look busy. It's like, until I stop running, then it all stops.
It must be difficult, the comedian's life, because you live for the gigs, I guess, and that's what it's all about. It's being on stage and in front of people, and of course all the royalties that pour in from the DVD and everything like that. But the lulls between must be a little bit challenging, and you're just thinking about the next gig or the next gigs, right?
Well, it's so funny. Like back in the day, you could just end up on a talk show like Johnny Carson, and your whole career is made.
Yeah.
And now it's like bouncing a beach ball in a stadium. It's once you get a little bit of exposure or some heat or some some new fans, the ball starts to come back down, and you have to figure out how to punch it back up in the air again. So it's but I'm really lucky in the sense that it's hard work and it's constant, but I'm so lucky that I get to do what I love and make people laugh.
How wonderful.
So I'm a very lucky guy.
However, you're not in Portugal anymore, are you? When we first spoke to you, you'd moved to Lisbon. It was a great story how how you got to be here in Portugal, where I am. But you have moved to Berlin. Should we take that personally? What happened?
No, of course you shouldn't, because Portugal is still very much home. My mom still lives in Carcavelos, and I'm there. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And I still absolutely consider Portugal home. And as a matter of fact, it's always the cheapest ticket on the tour because it's true. Because when I come to Portugal, I stay at my mom's. So I'm like, well, hey, the ticket should be less because I'm staying. My costs are less. I'm eating home cooked food, so I bring the savings onto the tickets in Portugal, and it's sort of my thank you to Portugal, because if it wasn't for Portugal and for the Lisbon comedy scene and so many of the big Portuguese comedians that really took me under their wing and supported me and encouraged me, and so I owe a great deal of debt to Portugal.
I just thought it's because we're a bunch of cheapskates here that you have to keep the ticket prices down there. But no, thank you for explaining.
Well, that too.
and lovely that it holds a special place in your heart. And I remember talking to you about how you did stand up. I still tell this story to people. How when people say, "Oh, it's difficult language," I'll never get it. I said, "Look, Tamer, he learned Portuguese and did stand up in Portuguese. That's got to be the most difficult combo and most terrifying scenario. But that is what you did, right? You learned Portuguese and you stood up on stage and you told jokes in Portuguese.
Yeah, I mean, my Portuguese isn't great. It got to like a level that was sort of like A1. I was still in the A1s. And
Okay.
the difficult thing for Portugal for me from a business perspective was just the flights in and out
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
so expensive to tour around Europe. So I felt like for now I needed a place that was a little bit more central. But to be honest, the way I treated it is so many people say that, it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And now I'm doing it in German and you're
I
right. It is very difficult. But I kind of changed my perspective and I said, this isn't learning a language and then trying to do comedy. It's embracing the fact that I can't speak a language and
yes.
trying to do
Yes.
comedy.
Yeah.
So I had a great time being the Portuguese Borat and allowing myself to make mistakes,
Yeah.
and embracing the fact that I look like a much beloved Portuguese singer, who's kind of comedic. His name was Kim Barreiros.
I saw him a
Yeah,
few weeks ago in my town.
no
He
way.
is hilarious. I mean, that
Yeah,
material about Maria, I want to smell your bacalhau. What a legend,
yeah.
right?
He's such a dirty old man.
He really is. And I'm watching. I'm not getting it all. I've got my friend Philomena with me, and she's giggling sort of behind her hand. And I look behind me, and it's like I'm surrounded by old ladies, avos, who are watching as well. And they're all giggling as well behind me. They're getting it, what's going on the stage. And he actually stops singing, doesn't he? And they know all the filthy words that he's been
Yeah.
singing for decades. Well, how brilliant to be a Kim Barreiros lookalike. So you say you've
Yeah.
moved to Germany. You're in Berlin, I believe. How is that?
Yeah.
How's that been for you?
I mean, from a business perspective, it's fantastic.
Good for you.
Creatively, it's really inspiring, and I've gotten to do
Mm,
some. There's so many artists here because the artist visa program in Berlin is very friendly and kind. And so I was like, I've done wild things. Like I have a joke about the first girl that broke my heart, and there were musicians in the audience, and
yeah.
they approached me and said, "Hey, that song could be a blues song." So I said, "Why don't we do that?" And so
Yeah.
we did. And we went up on stage. I went up on stage with a keyboard player and a stand-up bass player, and they did it as if I was doing a jazz spoken word poem, and the audience went nuts. It was great.
That is so cool. So Germany or
Yeah.
Berlin takes the art so seriously. They've even got a visa built around it.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. And the
incredible.
audience is probably the most artistic audience I've ever had, where I had a guy who's a graffiti artist in the audience one time, and I did a joke about Donald Trump. And he said, "Oh my God, I love that
Rich
joke. Can
kid.
I use it?" And I
Yes.
said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "We know Banksy, his best friend was a British comedian, and he uses his jokes sometimes to inspire his graffiti." So I had this joke where I said, if Donald Trump was the president of Nike, they changed their slogan to "Just say you did it," right?
Yes.
So this
Very good.
graffiti artist, like, spoke with me after, and he created an upside down Nike swoosh made out of orange hair, and he wrote "Just say you did it," and it looked like a
Fantastic.
Nike logo until you
Yeah.
got close. So that sort of like collaboration and fun is something I'm really enjoying.
That's fantastic. So cross
Yeah,
fertilization of the art sounds like Berlin
yeah,
is treating you well. I mean, it has that reputation, doesn't it, of sort of bohemian, artistic and cutting edge. So I'm really glad that's working out for you. Matty's German. I bet if you speak German, it's comedy by itself. Like Rudy Carroll, lol. Enjoy my motherland. So
das
you've got
ist richtig, Rudi. Das ist richtig.
Pete also here. Thanks for coming to the Festa. I have had about 7 hours sleep since I saw you. And I don't think he means last night. I think he means over the last 72 hours. Probably hope you enjoyed it. The Festa scene is still mad here,
Awesome.
Tamer. This weekend we have the Dia de Freguesia here in Lorisselle. So the party
Cool.
continues. And I don't know if these folks are fans of yours. Only in India. Bon dia to you as well. I think it's because we're live streaming. People are picking up
Nice.
on this and dropping in. T Duck is here, Joao Ernesto is here, Andero and Matty, of course, all joining us
Awesome.
this morning. I maybe when we spoke before, we were saying that we were remarking perhaps upon what strange times we live in. But I think for comedians, things have got a little bit better. The crazier the times may be, the richer the scene, the better the material. I mean, you mentioned Trump, obviously an incredibly rich source of comedic material. Are you finding the craziness, the chaos of these times inspiring and useful with your writing?
Yeah, there's this really funny phrase from an Armenian friend who told me, laughter is that thing you do when you can no longer cry.
Mm,
And and I think like
well
I've
said.
gotten to that point where my skin has hardened and thickened, and the stuff that used to break my heart is now stuff that I can use for fodder
Yeah,
to create comedy. Like I think now more than ever people know that we're all the same. We're all citizens of the same planet, the same world, and politics is politics.
yeah,
But comedy, my goal, I'm not a political comedian, but I will talk about politics, but
yes,
not in a way where I divide the room or like even Joe Rogan, for example, now has changed his opinion
yeah,
about supporting Trump, and some of my friends are like, "Oh, well, screw that guy," and I'm like, "No, you should have welcome and open arms." It's a very difficult thing to say, "Hey, I made a mistake,"
yeah, right.
and he should be celebrated for saying that. And the only way that we're gonna be happy together is to say, hey, people make mistakes, and if you can see the light now and you're on the other side, and you're open to a more peaceful times and a less chaotic movement, I'm all there with open arms to give you a big hug.
Oh, well
uh
said, mate. Absolutely well
yeah.
said. Yeah, and it does seem to be that it's down to the comedians now. No pressure, but it's like when the world is as crazy as it is, the
Yeah.
jesters and the funny people, as you say, all the people who are crying now need to go to the last funny people on earth who hold up a mirror and say, this is just crazy. We need to laugh at this.
Yeah.
Would you agree that's where we're at, possibly?
Oh,
And it is the comedians.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, we can't look
Absolutely.
at the politicians for
Yeah.
help, can we? And we're
No.
quite divided among each other. So it's perhaps a time in history, and this probably happens, doesn't it? This probably repeats throughout history
Oh,
that
absolutely.
we look for the
Absolutely.
jesters. Yeah.
Yeah, all of my greatest heroes were that way. I actually had a really crazy experience where my therapist in Los Angeles said, "Hey, you're moving to New York. I can come to your show now." So he came to my show and he got a little tipsy and he said, I think I understand comedy now. And I go, "What do you mean?" And he goes, there's this great Hunter S. Thompson quote where he says, "I don't believe the truth is ever told between the hours of 9 and 5." And
Wow.
there's a real truth to that our behavior changes after 5 o'clock. If you go to a
Yes.
bar and you're wearing a tie, your friend says, take that off. It's after 5. And there's
Yeah.
a different way that we communicate. And because he was tipsy, he said, I think the way the audience is looking at you is the audience, they have responsibilities and they
Yes.
have an HR department and they have, and in exchange for that, they have a roof and shelter and food and stability. He's all, but you are like a wolf, and the audience is like well kept dogs in a house where they have a leash that looks like a tie, and it's a nice life. But they're the same as you. They come from you, and they look at you and go, "Look at that wolf." Like, yes, he lives outside. Yes, his fur is disgusting. Yes, he's got bald spots, and he has to eat dead squirrels in a park. But
Yes.
look at him! Look at him run without a leash,
Yes.
and that
Absolutely.
inspires them to maybe growl at their owner sometimes when the owner isn't treating them right, or bark when they're not fed on time.
Oh,
So
you have a joke about that, don't you? About a dog that, or was it cats and dogs? About how a pet.
yeah,
I
I
love that.
said,
I absolutely love that.
yeah. Yeah, I said in Berlin, sometimes when I see a dog that obeys too much, it makes me sad. And sometimes when I see a cat that bites its owner, it makes me happy.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I completely got that, and I think
Yeah.
that that there you go. There's the poignancy and the wisdom in
Yeah.
comedy. Okay, so you have painted a picture of how we should perhaps support you as well. As the feral outsider who needs to eat. He needs to eat as well whilst
Well,
helping us.
it's a reminder to people that we're all the same.
Yeah.
One time I was at a show and this woman yelled out, "That's dark," about one of my jokes. And I said,
Yes.
"Wait," I said, "I'm glad you said that." And
Yeah.
I go, "If I'm talking about something, by definition, I'm putting light on it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you don't want to talk about it, which one of us is dark?" It's not
Well,
me.
oh my goodness.
Right?
Right,
It's
okay.
you
All right.
that's dark. And I go, listen, I'm not up here to offend anyone or make anyone upset or try to make anyone feel bad. I swear to God, my intention of getting into comedy is to make people laugh. And I
Yeah.
go, but by me coming up here and joking about things that you normally can't joke at, maybe I'm reminding you that you're still wild too. And that you're
Well,
still a cat too, and you still have claws. And every
yeah.
once in a while you can scratch.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, and well, there's your genius right there. In my opinion,
Thanks.
people can see you starting off. Okay, so you're getting ready for the tour next month, and you'll
Yeah.
be in your new hometown, Berlin, on the 13th, and a little mini tour of Germany. Then look at this. This is fantastic. Paris, over here to Lisbon on the 4th of October, and I'll give
Yeah.
people the event link for the tickets, so they can buy tickets here in Lisbon on the 4th of October. Then over to Amsterdam, Stockholm, Vienna, Manchester, and London. Are you allowed to say you've got favourites of any of these countries, or do they all have their own
Oh,
sort of little
I mean,
little
It's
special?
got to be Lisbon. I mean, Lisbon is such a special place for me. When I
Yeah,
came, it was during the pandemic, and we only had one English speaking show a week, and
yeah,
now we have English speaking shows every night. And the club that I'm performing at is called the Republic of Comedy,
yes,
started ironically by a German expat,
yes,
German
yes,
Italian named Francesco, who I'm I could not be more proud of this scene. You know, when I started, there was maybe 8, 10 comedians and hobbyists, I would say. I think they would even give themselves that title. But now there's professional working comedians in English, and Comedy Republic is inside a place called Chafarique, which
yeah,
was a classic jazz bar in the heart of Lisbon that has its own rich history.
yes.
So there's nothing like coming back to Lisbon for me, because it was my launch pad for doing English speaking comedy in Europe, and the comedians there, I've never felt more proud of a group of comedians. Like, they're my tribe, is what I
Yeah.
always tell them.
Well, and I
Yeah,
think you're part of that renaissance, if that's what it is, of comedy or growth of comedy, a shot of adrenaline in the arm of comedy here in Portugal. A few comments coming in. If you've got a few more minutes for us, Tamer.
sure,
Not political, says your Honest, but I already know his political opinions. You made a joke about Trump,
sure,
but you're an equal ops comedian. You'll make a joke about Joe Biden as well, I'm sure.
sure, of course, of
Of
course.
course, yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Listen, whoever is in power is who I will mock
Yeah,
by, the history of comedy, as it should be. But listen, I have a Muslim dad and a Jewish mom. I don't take sides. Like, I am an issue by issue person, because I recognize the way to manipulate people is to tell them that they can only make decisions based on what their party says. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't do that. Like I've said earlier, I'm a cat, not a dog. You can't train me. You can't make me sit when you say sit. You can't make me roll over when you say roll over. I'm a cat. I'll
Yes,
appreciate you and I'll purr when you treat me nice, but if you touch me wrong, I'll scratch you. And I did
yes,
that to Biden, and I'll do it to Trump.
yeah,
So for me, it's not. But if I meet someone, I have several friends who are Trump supporters, and I think it's important to maintain those friendships and have conversations. I don't put people down, or I don't treat politics like it's a sport.
yeah.
So while my comedy, I wouldn't classify my comedy as political. My definition is that I don't. My target is never the people that support a person. It's the person.
Yep, no, I'm with you, and we try and do that here as well. It's so important to keep talking, isn't it? However painful it
Yeah.
gets, and I've seen you do this. I don't think there could be anything more awkward, possibly, than a stand-up. I mean, socially, there are some terrible things that go on in the world, obviously, but
Yeah.
in social situations, to have someone looking like they're turning on you as a heckler in a stand-up situation on a thorny issue, and I've seen you do this, and it's
Mm.
like it's not like you double down. It's like you open your heart to
Yeah.
what's going on for you, and attempt to include that person. Whether they want to go with you or not is another matter, and generally
Sure.
the room seems to go with you. But I really applaud how you will go there rather than avoid it, Tamer, and I think we
Oh,
need
thank
more.
you, Carl.
Yeah, yeah.
That means a lot. I really appreciate that.
Well, I absolutely mean that. And do you know that the Dutch say Germans have no humor? Now you'll have a special view on this as a Berliner now. I bet you
Sure.
disagree by now. Is that right? With Matty's asking.
Yeah, I think the Dutch do say that because the Germans stole their bikes. If you want to piss off a Dutch person, steal their bike.
Go for the bike. Okay.
I got to tell you
Right.
though, like I take issue with the Netherlands because it's the only country where I step foot off a train and immediately become short. I hate it.
It helps to be back in Lisbon, then perhaps.
It's it's so disturbing, Carl. It's so disturbing to have a child walk up to you and say, "Hey, what school do you go to?" I'm like, "Get out of here."
New kid. Right. Oh, and Douglas, you've got some Welsh love. Who doesn't like a bit of Welsh love first thing in the morning? This chap talks sense. Too much watching P's and Q's these days. Tamer, great fun talking to you. All the
Thanks so
best
much, Carl. You're awesome.
with the upcoming tour. It's always great to check in with you and have a bit of a catch up. That is true. They say that, and I always reply that they can have them back if they pay the storage fee for 50 years. There you go.
You're smart.
Very good. That's Matty. I loved it. Actually, I think there's a big affinity, contrary to popular belief, perhaps, or reflex belief. The Germans and the Brits have a very similar sense of humour and get on very well once they decide to. Those are the tour dates, starting 13th of September in Berlin and climaxing in my hometown, London, on the 19th of October. I'm sure it'll be fun to be there. And I'm sure you've got quite the following over in the UK as well. Is there anything you want to share with our audience this morning before you go? And Mick Jagger, who's popped in for some reason.
Amazing.
Well. Yes. A final thought, perhaps, from you?
You know what? I would say the last thing I would say is when I was a kid, we used to go surfing in Hawaii. And I remember in the water, we'd look out and somebody had spray painted in graffiti, every day, lucky you live Hawaii, in like broken pigeon. And I think it's something that I repeat to my friends in Portugal. I think every time that I'm in Portugal and every time I'm with my friends, they're like, "Oh, I wish I was in a bigger comedy scene." I'm like, you know what? You need to remember how lucky you are to live in Portugal. It's a beautiful country with great people, and I'm so glad that the first chapters of my story were from there. So I'm tickled every time I get to be on your podcast and every time I get to come visit.
Oh, thanks, mate. Great to see you
Thanks
on
so
our
much for having me,
screen. Good
Carl.
luck with this bus sorts, and you got great music taste as well. We're going to play a Tim. We love to play Portuguese music. I know Tim Maia, right? Brazilian, but of course,
that's right.
Brazilian Portuguese here. Que beleza. We'll play that. But Tamer, all the best to you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, Carl.
Take care, mate.
And next time I see you, lunch on me.
Woo! Prato do dias all around. Okay, mate. See you later. Okay, there's Tamer Kattan. What a legend. What a great bloke. Lovely to chat with him. And here's his musical choice. And as you know, I need to just set up the audio a little bit different. We can hear this properly. And hopefully, when I press this button, it will play. And he's hanging out backstage virtually to dance to his choice. Tim Maia and Que Beleza. Let's see if this will play. There you go. Woohoo!